Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Department of Mass Comm and Journalism of the university for organizing this international webinar on a very, very relevant and contemporary topic. This is all-time contemporary and relevant, the role of media. But the COVID crisis, I think that it should go now. I also congratulate the dean of the school, the organizing team, and all the members who are involved in this organization of the international webinar. Dear participants, the field has very well laid down by the keynote speaker, Dr. Datta. As I was trying to speak on the infodemic, and that is related to the fake news, but Dr. Datta has some, we can say, apprehensions in using the term fake. But my point is that I am just watching this through the legal lens, and there this news is known as the fake news. So because you all belong to the media or belong to the journalism, so the very initial point you must be knowing that media, that is a plural of medium. Medium that mediates between the power holders, the public power holders, and the power generators, the power makers, that is the people. And it is a relationship, or it mediates between the business, between the trade, between the entertainment, social media, social entertainment, and individuals also. So horizontally, it works between these. At the same time, it works with the power holders as well as with the other, we can say, facts in the society, be it social media, be it individual, be it entertainment. So this works like that. So they differ in their working structural basis or on the functional basis. As we all know that the media or the journalism that may be related to the national, global, local, regional, and they're also working on a spatial structure or functional, like we can say they are working on the entertainment agency, on the political reviews, on the or other these commercial issues, detective type of the thing. So the working is also different of this media. So as we know that the initially the media that was only considered to the print media. Later on, we have also seen the electronic media, and then electronic media has further extended or including in itself the internet that is related to the social media also. So when we see the reach of the print media, then we see that the print media is, that is the newspapers and the magazines also, and the customers of those print media were very, very limited. It's not universal because they are having a selected readership. So the news items that were not available or to the reach of the public at large. But when we started with the electronic media, then we see that the radio that is started, and it has a reach of 1 million people, and it has reached in 50 years. Then we go to the television, it reached 1 million people in 25 years. And just see internet through which the social media that is coming up, and it has reached 1 million people in just 5 years. So it is also depending upon the reach of the media as to which media is reaching to the public and how it is affecting, what is the role of that media. Because I'm not going to distinguish here with the print media, electronic media, and the social media. Media as a whole has its impact on the society, on the community at large. Now, when we talk about the social media, then we see that social media is just a technology which is to facilitate the conversations, and that includes through Facebook, that includes through Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, and so on. So what we see that a new technology that does not add or subtract from something, it changes the everything. It changes everything. So the print media, to some extent, the electronic media also work as a one-way traffic. Whatever is being published in the newspaper, whatever is being shown or being telecast or broadcast through radio and television, that is a one-way traffic, push technology, you see. But when we entered into the internet, then we see that social media is a two-way traffic, and it is a push and pull technology, wherein both types, that the person who is receiving end and the person who is sharing the things, they both can share their ideas. And this is how this infodemic is also come into vogue. So according to the World Health Organization, you must be knowing that this is the leader in protecting the public health of the person globally. It's an agency of the United Nations. So this World Health Organization people are not only living through the epidemic, but also the infodemic. This is a surge of the information about the COVID-19 that has made it very hard to the people to know as to what news and guidance about the virus are accurate or not. So the General Secretary General or Director General of the World Health Organization in February 2020 said in one of the gathering in Germany that this infodemic, we are not just fighting against the epidemic, but we are fighting against the infodemic also. And this is very important, that how this infodemic has been started, who started this infodemic. So the word, as we know, that this is not a new word. It has been coined in 2003. And in 2003, when there was another, we can say, outbreak of the SARS, because this is the SARS-2. At that time, SARS-1, when it was there was an outbreak of this SARS. So one of the journalists and political scientists has coined this infodemic word in 2003, particularly on 11th May, and that has been published in the Washington Post, when he said that it is a blend of what? Blending of the information with the epidemic. So that's how this word infodemic has come into picture. So what that journalist and political scientist, that was David Rotkopf. So David Rotkopf, in his words, told about what he meant by this infodemic. So I quote here David Rotkopf when he says that, what exactly do I mean by the infodemic? A few facts mixed with fear, speculation, and rumor, amplified and relayed swiftly worldwide by modern information technologies, have affected national and international economies, politics, and even security in ways that are utterly disproportionate with the root reality, unquote. So this is how we see that the infodemic word has been coined by David Rotkopf, and this is continuing with this outbreak of the COVID-19 also. And every time now we are witnessing that this infodemic or this information relating to the pandemic is now being consumed by all of us. So WHO explains that infodemic are an excessive amount of the information about the problem, which makes it difficult to identify a solution. So where is the solution? They can spread misinformation, disinformation, and rumors during a health emergency, because we all know that this is a public health emergency, and in this time, these type of the information should be curtailed down. So infodemics can hamper an effective public health response and create confusions and distrust also among the people. And this is not the time to create that type of the distrust. So in the midst of this, we can say information pollution also we can use. So while we have witnessed the global health threat named COVID-19 in the last few months, particularly first it has been detected by the WHO on 31st December 2019. So since then, this spread of the information about the pandemic has been much faster than the virus itself. We all are coming across with the messages, memes, videos related to the COVID-19, and it is going viral on the social media, we all know. So the plethora of information about the outbreak, statistics, number of the cases, number of the casualties, and even we can say every single geography, every single part of the world where what is happening and how it is going about. So these type of the information are being supplied and fed by the people by 24 into 7 daily. And we see that the billions of the people due to this COVID-19, they have been isolated or quarantined in their homes to contain the infection. And because of this containment, because of this quarantining and isolation, digital screen time has also been increased. So information pollution about the COVID adds to the already existing uncertainty and this panic about the virus, lockdown, unlock, what is going to be happened. So this is all because of this information which is being fed to us through various information authorities or through various, we can say, media portals. And this all we are getting. So what they want, they wish us to update about every single fact and facets of the illness, which further increases the psychological discomfort, that may increase the physical unrest also. So infodemic, which was coined in 2003 by David Rothkopf, and it has now been seen in the time of the COVID-19 also. And we say that the messages are going viral, but the free and unregulated flow of the information can be dangerous, we all know. So what is the role of the media in this nationwide lockdown period? You must be knowing, being journalists and being in the discipline of the media and journalism, that before the announcement of the lockdown, which was to continue till 14th April, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, he has called the print and electronic media owners and the editors of the country. And they have also said that to support the government and to give the positive news related to the COVID-19. But we see that, as pointed out by Dr. Datta also, that they were all the owners and editors who control most of the Indian media and national and regional levels. So we were advised to abide by the government or official narrative to the present information about the COVID-19. But we see that journalism and free press in India, that is considered to be one of the ethical communicative practice in a democracy. India is a democratic nation, we all know. So our constitution, unlike the American constitution, does not directly confer this right to freedom of speech and expression to the press. But it is due to the judicial interpretation that the judiciary has read into this freedom of speech and expression, which is conferred to a citizen, to extend it to the press also. So press in India is also enjoying that fundamental right. That is, fundamental right has been elevated from citizen to include the press in itself, to the extent that press is also considered in the democracy as the fourth pillar of the democracy, along with the judiciary, executive, and legislature. So this is the, we can say, the status of the press. And in this nationwide lockdown, the role of the press must be of that, we can say, status, as we are witnessing from the other organs of the state concerned. So what we see that the corporate ownership and supports in the autonomy of the journalism, and the freedom of press is also to some extent is regulated there. So unfortunately, the conflict of the interest has become a common feature of the Indian journalism. And however, even though the majority of the Indian media is under the corporate sectors and under the corporate control also, there are many counter voices within the media, outside the group also. So this is all going within the media, and you are the people from the media, you must be well aware about all these things. And because of the publication, because of the information, because of the sharing of these things on the media, be it print media, be it social media, electronic media, the Supreme Court has to give the directions in one of the case on 31st March. You must be aware about that. Alak Alok Srivastava versus Union of India. It was a case decided by the Supreme Court, wherein the fake news were published after the first lockdown was declared by the government of India. That was initially for up to 14th April, but some of the newspapers, they have started publishing that this lockdown will continue for months together. And that was the time that has created, where we can say, created some eagerness in the migrant laborers as to how they will work, how they will have their earnings, and how they will eat, how they will do the work. So all these things were there, and that created the panic in the migrant laborers particularly. It's created panic in others also, but to the migrant laborers particularly. So at that time, the Supreme Court has given the direction to the Secretary MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, that they should provide a bulletin, official bulletin to the journalists every day. And after getting that bulletin, whatever is the news related to the COVID-19, that will be published only, and other news will not be published. So this is how the guidelines were given by the Supreme Court to the central government. And after that, we see that the publication or the information regarding this type of the fake news has been controlled by this bulletin, which has to be given every day by the Government of India, Department of MHA. Then we see that what type of the informations are being fed to the public concern, and that is, we can say, we have seen mostly in cases of the migrant labor. The sudden announcement, you all must be knowing, of the lockdown, that has not given the time. It was barely 4 hours time, which was given to the persons to go back and to work according to as to what is this lockdown and all these things. So the sudden announcement of this lockdown, that there was no advance notice as such, and it has created the nationwide panic, and the migrant laborers was the worst affected. So in the absence of any work, in the absence of any support, the thousands of laborers, they started moving from their workplace to their hometowns. And in that way, you see that the media has reported, of course, the electronic media, of course, the print media, social media, they have started reporting the news about those migrant laborers. And we see that 6 migrants, they were also moved down on a rail track when they were moving, or they were coming back to their home in Aurangabad also. So this all lockdown which was there, that has, we can say, was worse than the COVID-19, and for the homeless and the poor person. So while a few of the media that made visible their plight, a particular kind of the media coverage and projection also led to the middle class blaming to the migrants for their irresponsible behavior during the pandemic. So all this continued because of this media projection, and this has also increased the views of the sensational value. We all know that the TRP counts means very much to the media authorities. So these sensational news were mostly projected, and without seeing whether what they are projecting, what they are giving to the common man, to the public at large. So what would be the effect of that news? Because we also realize on the whatever we are seeing, whatever we are reading to the newspaper, that is a correct thing, without going into the falsity, without going into the truth of that thing. We just acknowledge that whatever is being produced by the media, that is correct. So this journalism, as I'm talking about this, this still survives because of a few courageous journalists in the mainstream media. It's not that all the news items were fake, all the news items were false, but some of the items, some of the news, these were always correct. And that is how we see that these news items which were being projected to us those has created that thing. The media is not only a tool of propaganda and sensationalism, but it is also providing some good news. And here comes the role of media, that we have to make a distinction between what is correct and what is not correct. So some television news, we see, you all must have seen that they were showing on one of the channel that this Chinese conspiracy in the COVID-19, that in the spread of the COVID-19. So what was the truth behind that news? They have started that we have the data, we have the evidences, we can show, we have all the proof, but where was the proof? So whether this COVID-19 was engineered in a lab of the virology or it was a natural spread. So there were so many news items in one of the channel of the TV. So in such a positive atmosphere, when some of the journalists or some of the newspapers, they are publishing, they are giving the correct news items. So in that positive atmosphere, the news related to this, either it be the laborer march or the exodus of this Markaj was all, we can say, also was mostly presented due to the sensational value. So somewhere we have to think about the accountability of this journalism, accountability of the media also. So since most of the people, you know, that they are at home during the lockdown, and it is natural to see the growth of the media consumption. We all are consuming so many items from the media because we are in the lockdown now. Now we are unlocked, but still we are at home and we are consuming media items. We are consuming the news and information. So be it Janta curfew, be it this clapping or conch firing, and at the same time lighting of the candles and diya, switching of the lights, everything that we have witnessed since 22nd March till now. And what the media has done to some extent is that they have become the part of this festivity in showing on their channels. So electronic media has done that thing, and they need to be accountable for that, because COVID-19 is a serious threat to the nation, and therefore many rational measures and honest conversations must be expected from the media. This should be the role of media, that they must do something, or the conversation must be very, very honest. And the government, which has created the PM Care funds, so that is to combat the pandemic, and various contributions of the common people have been there. But many questions have not been raised about the need of that fund when we were also having the Prime Minister Relief Fund. So all these seems that these are the issues which demand serious journalistic investigation in the public interest. So this is how the media can come to play its role, so that it may work in public interest. And the role of the larger media, as observed during the pandemic, however, is not shift of the overnight. This is there, and media has to introspect in that respect. So some of the questions from the media is why media need to provide the most accurate and authentic information to the viewers, and how the fake news impact on the democracy, and particularly at the time of this COVID-19 spread. Does fake news put forward the novel and acute problem on psychology of the people? Then if yes, how it is doing like that? So how media serves to shape the prospects, and what are the effects of the epidemic during the coronavirus pandemic? This has to be seen, and then the role of the media, we can say, can be there, which has to be considered to be from the angles or from the lens of the legal aspect. So regarding some of the laws and regulations to curb the fake news in India, we all are aware about that. India is a country which is governed by a rule of law, and the law has to be followed everywhere, whether it's a journalism or some media projection, everything. So section 66 of the Information Technology Act of 2000, it punishes a person who is dishonestly doing any act which is referred in section 43, and he will be punished for 3 years for that. That is the wrong information. Then civil and criminal laws are also providing for the defamation or any type of the fake news. Indian Penal Code under section 505 provides for the punishment on the fake news. Section 54 of this Disaster Management Act also provides for the fake news, and it also provides for the punishment and penalty on the person concerned who is spreading the fake news. Then Section 3 of the Epidemic Disease Act of 1897 also provides that it should be dealt accordingly if the fake news or the spread of these type of the news would be there in the society. Then Cybercrime Patrol, we see that the Ministry of the Home Affairs states the guidelines, and these are all available on their website. So in that scenario, the laws are there, specific rules are there, provisions are there, policies are there. We have to follow those things. This is very, very important that we have to follow those things. And finally, wrapping up of my talk, I would like that media has wide influence. It is enlightening, it is controlling, it is giving us the news, etc. And because of this influence over the people during coronavirus pandemic, so all the information should be more and more transparent in the line of the right to information law, because we all know that right to information law and policies, that the information are coming from the official sources, is of paramount importance in this time of the crisis. So because the technology, we are flooded with the copious information to which we are more likely to share without going into or without having the knowledge to separate the facts from the falsities. This is also we have to check upon. Laws are there, and a message on the social media, we all know, goes viral, and it has the very hazardous effects also. So unreliable and fake news regarding COVID-19 spread need to be monitored, and all the news disseminated by the media has a great impact on the psychology of the individual concerned. So it should be shared with due care, and because a single falsehood, a single false news that gain attention can also negate the significance of other true facts. So we have to take care of all these things, and this is the platform where we can say that the time has come when we have certain way forward also. So the increased use of the social media can be powerful tool for debunking misinformation itself. If the media can project the fake information, if the media can give the wrong information, it is the role of the media, it can give the correct and the true information also. So this is the time that in this nationwide, or we can say world over, global pandemic, this is the time that the media has to think about as to what role it has to play to serve the nation in a proper manner. And the awareness of the healthy use of the technology can be spread by the social media itself. And the administrative reforms regulating unnecessary forward and rumor mongering, this has to be curtailed down, and technology can be used for social correctness of the positive news. And as the saying goes, that discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. It is us to be followed, and so that we can say that we, without making a social, or without making a digital distancing, we have to come with the digitalization, and we must see that really the role of media is very, very important in serving the nation, in giving the proper news items, so that we can know accurately as to what is there, what is going on in the society. And that's how I would like to stop here. And I also thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share my views on the infodemic from the legal perspective of print media as well as the social media. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.